open up, shut it down like a Macintosh. Open up, open here.
Hello YouTube, thank you for clicking on my channel. My name is Nala and I will be starting a mini series called Pumping with Nala. This is a mini series about breastfeeding. The main things I'll be talking about is latching, maintaining a supply, pumping, being a breastfeeding mommy, and then also my personal journey of how things are going for me so far while breastfeeding. My baby will be 2 months on Sunday. He turns a week every Sunday, and he'll be 2 months this Sunday. So far I'm 2 months in. I feel like I'm pretty confident in what I'm doing. I love the bond that we have with breastfeeding and with him, with me nursing him and everything. So we can go ahead and move on into my tips, information about latching. First and foremost, when it comes to breastfeeding, the first thing you want to do is research. Before you even have your baby, you want to research about breastfeeding as much as possible. So ways to do this is, like, of course, go on YouTube, and then, like, that's the obvious, Google research. You can look into articles, you can watch videos, things like that. You can even join momming groups, which are very beneficial when they want to be, I guess you could say. They're very beneficial when it comes to breastfeeding. They tend to be very helpful with stuff like that. And then also talking to other people that breastfed. Talk to lactation consultants if you can. If you have a doula or a midwife, you can definitely talk to them. Ask them questions about breastfeeding. Just talk to anyone you possibly can that can help you, that will benefit you in the long run when it comes to nursing your baby. So the main thing to keep in mind is that breastfeeding is natural. I use the air quotes mainly because, yes, your milk produces naturally. Yes, it's natural for your baby to latch on, but you have to put the work in. It's not like you have, like, anything that's natural still has to come with work. And that's the one thing that moms have to understand when they are attempting to breastfeed, is that you will have to work in order for the baby to latch on. So when it comes to latching, that's the most important thing of breastfeeding, of course, because, I mean, if this baby doesn't latch on, then you're not breastfeeding, or you're not doing it properly. So when you are researching, you want to make sure that you're researching different methods and ways for the baby to latch on, different holds and everything of that such as well. So you can have the cradle hold, you can have the football hold when the baby head is here and the rest of the body is behind you, and you hold the baby head to your breast. There's different ways you can do it, and they can all be helpful to every mother. So the main thing when it comes to a baby latching on is you want to make sure that you have a deep latch. So when I say a deep latch, just meaning the full nipple is in the baby's mouth, towards the back of their mouth. You don't want it to be just in the beginning, because then that's when the nipple hits the roof of the mouth, and it tends to pinch more than the tugging sensation of what you're supposed to be getting when you're nursing. So if you feel a pinch more than a tug, then something isn't right. The latch isn't on. You need to unlatch the baby, and you need to try again. So with me personally, when I first had my child, the first time he latched was perfect. Everything was good. There was of course some, it's more of uncomfortable than a pain. So it was uncomfortable in the beginning, and it was kind of just something you had to get used to. Around, I'll say 1.5, almost 2 weeks is when I noticed that it became more painful than uncomfortable. And that's when I looked into going back into my research and things I looked at before, watching the videos again, because it's different when you're watching them before you're breastfeeding to when you actually breastfeeding. While you're watching the video, you can be doing the motions that they're showing you, so that helps a lot. But for some reason, I still couldn't get the latch, or it didn't feel the same way it did in the beginning. And then I realized that once he was finished, that my nipple was in the form of a lipstick, and it's when you have, like, it's pretty much like this, like the tip of your nipple, and then it kind of goes in an angle, and it's not supposed to be like that. Your nipple's supposed to be the same form that it was in the beginning. Like when you first started breastfeeding, when he first puts the nipples in his mouth, then when it's taken out, puts them the same exact way. If it doesn't, then something is not right. He's not latched on properly. So that's one reason why deep latching is very important, is because of the fact of it's painful, and breastfeeding should not be painful. It should not hurt. In the beginning, of course, being uncomfortable, yes, that makes sense. But as far as it actually, hurting, it should not hurt. So I watched the videos, everything, and I realized that it was still the same exact way. I wasn't really getting anything different. That wasn't anything that was they weren't helping me. So I called my hospital, talked to a lactation consultant, and she reminded me that my hospital offers free breastfeeding classes. So I don't know if this applies to every hospital. I'm sure it doesn't, that delivers babies. But if you have, where you are, they have a hospital where it's strictly about women or for women, then more likely they will have a lactation consultant. So, or they will have free classes. So our classes that I go to every Tuesday from 10 to 11, I still go there now, even though I feel pretty comfortable breastfeeding. It's just good to have a community of women that do the same as you. So the lactation consultant, she was very helpful. So one thing that they always say is when you're nursing your baby, it's to hold your baby and then hold your breast in a C shape. So what you do, you have your breast and you have your C shape, and you have the baby's head, and you bring the baby head to you, so you bring your baby to the baby. And then that usually helps with getting the deep suction. Another thing is, before actually having the baby latch on, is you want to kind of tease the baby's upper lip, bottom nose with your nipple in order for them to open their mouth wide enough. So you're here and the baby's noticing it and lifting their mouth and their head back, tilting their head back and opening their mouth, dropping their jaw, is when you can put the nipple in and you get a deeper latch. So I was doing all of that, and it seemed to not be working for me. Even with the C-shape, squeezing my nipple, like squeezing my breast as small as it can possibly go and everything, and he was just like, nope, we're not doing this. So what she showed me was to, instead of pinching up here, kind of squeeze down a little lower of where exactly what's going to the baby's mouth. So if we make that smaller, the baby's mouth is getting bigger, it has to trust what to go in, right? So once we did that, I tried a couple times, and finally we got the perfect latch. It was so much more comfortable. I can hear him gulping milk, so that means he was getting more of a letdown because of the proper latch. And that's a reason why it's so important to have the proper latch, because for one thing, it's not painful. It shouldn't be hurting if he has a proper latch. Another thing is, it helps with milk supply. So if your baby isn't latched properly, that means they're not getting as much milk as it's supposed to be getting. So if they're actually pulling in less milk, then your body is going to trigger, okay, we don't need all this milk, let's slow down a little bit. So it's for the pain, for the supply, and then also your baby's getting enough to make sure they're full. Because if they're doing more work to get more milk, it's just going to tire them out. I mean, they are babies, they don't have all the energy in the world yet. So it takes, for them to eat, takes a lot of them, which is why they tend to fall asleep right after eating, or if they're doing too much work, they tend to fall asleep. So I was good to go. Deep latching was good. Did research, everything like that. And then I started to realize that he'll have a clicking sound, like that's what it sounded like when he was nursing. And I'm like, okay, what is the problem now? And this thing you have to realize when you're breastfeeding, just because it started off perfect doesn't mean it's going to continue that way. There are things that can change. So talking to my lactation consultant in the class, she instructed me and everyone else in the class that when you hear clicking from the baby, it means they're losing the suction, they're losing their latch. So what you can do is you can either, push the baby closer to you so that I have a closer latch, or you can unlatch the baby and just try again. And to unlatch the baby, say this is the baby's mouth and the nipple's in there. You can go in the corner of the mouth and just kind of pull your nipple out, and it's going popping sound because they're sucking on it. And it's a very tight suction. Don't be surprised that you have to put a little umph in it when you pull it out. So that's the way to unlatch the baby, and just try again. So like I said in the beginning, latching is something that comes naturally. You have to work for it, which is why when you're breastfeeding, they usually don't instruct you to not introduce a pacifier or a bottle until at least 2 weeks. And 2 weeks is just like the bare minimum. That's just like a little box for you to start in. It's not where you can go. It can be longer than that if you want to or if need be. For me personally, it lasted. I didn't choose the bottle till about 3.5 weeks old, mainly because, like I said, we started off doing perfectly well. Then it went off to him not getting a deep enough latch again. So the main thing is you want to make sure that before introducing them to something else to suck on, that they can latch onto you perfectly and you're comfortable and everything, and they understand. You understand what you need to do in order for the latch to be correct. So you want to hold off until introducing anything else for the baby to latch or suck on to until you get that connection and that relationship understood of how the baby needs to latch on you properly in order to get the milk supply that they need. So without all of this being said, it is not something that is easy. It is a lot of work. And if you're not prepared for it mentally, you have to get there. You have to prepare yourself in any way possible. If you are a spiritual Christian like I am, pray. Okay? You have to pray in order to get through this stuff, because sometimes it can be very hard. It can do a lot on your mentality, especially with dealing with all the hormones, transitioning to being a mom, on top of, having, like, if the baby does not latch on correctly, how can I feed it? Like, I can't feed my baby. Like, it's a lot to deal with, and it can really put you into a deep depression if you do not prepare yourself for it mentally. You have to understand that, yes, this is natural, meaning my body produces the milk to feed my baby with, but maybe my baby does not want to latch. Maybe my baby does not know how to latch properly. Maybe I don't have the patience or the skills, or I just do not understand how to tell my baby to latch. With that being said, there are things to still help you. Even if your lactation consultant can't really get it, you can still. So another benefit with doing research is you'll read and see videos about the nipple shield. I personally never had to use it, but it's a little plastic cap that you put on your nipple in order to help your baby get a deeper latch. Some people fear that it decreases milk supply. That I do not know about. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. If it did, I don't think people really suggest much they do. But yeah, I don't really see how it can, because babies still latch you on some type of way. So that's another thing you can look into doing if you are struggling with baby latching on. And just like I said, don't give up. As long as your baby is getting something in them and they're gaining weight, then that's all that really matters. Even if it's not your breast milk. If it is your breast milk, it might be coming directly from you, maybe coming from a bottle. As long as your baby is fed, that is the main thing. Nothing else comes before that. If all else fails, like say if you were latching properly at one point, then something falls off and you're not able to get to a lactation consultant at that time, or get friends at that time, go back to what you learned in the hospital. Skin to skin. Skin to skin is beneficial all the time. I don't know when it's not. Baby's crying, skin to skin. Baby's gassy, skin to skin. Like, whenever the baby can feel you, knowing that they have that comfort and that you're holding them, and those happy hormones being released between the both of you, it's going to make things work. And that's what helps produces your milk. That's what helps the baby realize, what needs to happen. It's just skin to skin is like almost answer to everything. Skin to skin, breast milk answers to everything. Like when it comes to latching, and you become raw, instead of using nipple balms or nipple creams, use breast milk. I mean, you can use those. I did not, because I'm just like, it's okay for my nipple, okay for my skin, but it's okay to go in baby's mouth. That's the thing about it, because what if I put it on and an hour later, the residue is still up there and I forget about it, and baby's ready to eat. Pop them up there and it gets in the mouth. I'm sure it would not do much damage, but it's just how I am. I'm really picky with what goes in my baby. So I really deal with the pain, honestly, than having to deal with that. So that's why I just use breast milk in order to cover my nipples. Rub on my nipples and let it air dry in order for them to heal when they were sore. So I hope who's ever watching this video that I informed you it's probably as much as I possibly could. I'm pretty sure I can talk forever about breastfeeding, just not latching in particular because there's so much more, and I'm trying to make sure I stay on topic with each video and about what I'm talking about. Make sure I don't get off topic, and that in the next video, whatever question I didn't answer here, I can answer in the next. So with that being said, if you do have any questions for me, please leave them in the comments below. Also, spam the comments, tell me what tips you have for me that can help me with breastfeeding that I may not have gone through yet. Also, any tips you can help me with YouTube. This is my first video, and I will take all the advice that you guys will give me. I do plan on being up here for a while. Like I said, this is a mini series of breastfeeding. So this one will be about latching. Next one will be about maintaining your supply. Then after that, be about pumping. Next one will be about being a breastfeeding mommy, and last will be my journey of breastfeeding. That is all. I hope to see you guys next Friday. Please spam with your comments, and I will see you later. Bye.